Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and thank you guys so much for joining me. It is it is another beautiful day. It's another beautiful night. We're getting ready for the Christmas season, and of course, with Christmas season time comes snuggling up, feeling more homely, feeling spending time with family, baking, socializing, and all that good stuff. People are getting ready to go on vacation. People are getting ready to enjoy their times with their loved ones. And it started to get me to thinking about one of the more trendy conversations, right? And I hadn't really thought about it as something that was as important um as it is being presented to me at the current moment. And if you're looking at the thumbnail, you already know that this is going to be a very funny conversation because while I tend to try to stay away from trends, I get sucked into certain trends that are of interest to me. And I want to talk about the soft life. All right. The soft life. And I think I'm going to niche this conversation because someone had asked me on my YouTube channel in one of the comments if white if I'm so sorry. I'm not laughing at the comment. I am kind of laughing at the comment, but not because I'm not taking it seriously. So let's get into it. So the soft life is basically living a life of luxury and being able to say no to certain ways of being toxic men, toxic relationships, toxic family members, and really just starting to put things in place that make your life more luxurious, more comfortable, easier, and having a sense of peace. This is kind of a tricky one for me because I see a lot of posts on Facebook, Instagram, and everywhere about, oh, if you don't like such and such, and if this person brings drama, what if that person is your kid? Okay? What if you have a little 10-year-old that's just like not giving you peace? What you gonna do? Get rid of your 10-year-old? Now, I say that jokingly, but I have definitely known people who have gotten married, real talk, who gotten married or who had a relationship with a person and the person didn't get along with the kids. Maybe they waited too long for that person to be introduced to their partner. This, yeah. So where was I? So usually it's not always clean cut as we think it is when we come to the conversation of getting people out of our lives that are causing us stress and discomfort. Sometimes our strategy has to be a little bit more nuanced and considerate of the fact that we cannot so easily, or maybe not, maybe we can get rid of people in our lives regardless of how close they are or supposed to be close to us, that we just kind of cut them out. And I do know, like I said before, people who have married and have left their children behind because they realized too late that the child was not feeling the partner and the partner wasn't feeling the child. And they seemingly go on and live a happy, healthy life. But what came out of that, what is then the repercussion of that sacrifice is that you sacrifice a relationship that is, to me, more important. Everybody has to know what it is they can and cannot live with or can and cannot live without. I um I wouldn't recommend estranging yourself from your children, but someone like a mother, brother, or father, parents, you know, you really have to ask yourself who and how the breakdown in the relationship happened and what can be done about it. And I know some of these attachments are easier said than done to detach from. We tend to feel like it's just a snap of a finger choice that you just make in order to make your life easier and simpler. But this is usually a process that we usually requires lots of journeying and healing and consideration from in order for us to get to the place where we can say, all right, I'm ready to cut this person loose. And so ease and peace are not something that is always so it's cut and dry in terms of what it means to live a softer life, but this is not a new concept about being able to decide what it is you want to cut out of your life and deciding what at what price is going to come and what sacrifices need to be made in order for you to live the life that you actually want to have. It does mean that we have to understand that nothing comes without sacrifice and work. And while we are trying to envision ourselves in a better way for our future selves, it definitely means that things have to be put in place now in order for us to get there. So, um, there is a lot of perception about women and luxury and having to sacrifice and struggle for their loved ones and for the people around them. And I do understand now, much more than I did before, why that is something that is so predominant in our culture, regardless of where we're from. Women are expected to be able to sacrifice for people because that's just in our nature. And anything outside of that might be deemed as selfish and self centeredness. But as we move into the age of um, self actualization, we start to realize that there is no joy and no good can come of being somebody's doormat and being putting yourself last. When you take care of yourself, you're able to better take care of others. And this is a very, very important rule for people, anyone, men and women alike, to learn when it comes to, especially if you were a parent or a wife or a girlfriend, is that we are the first teachers in how people treat us and people treat others around us in our space. And if people learn from beginning on that they can get away with certain ways of being, they will continue to be that way until they have hard consequences to the effect. And this goes even for your children. Nobody is above learning how to treat you properly. And nobody's above understanding that you taking care of yourself is an essential and key component in you being able to take care of others. And it's not the only reason you should be allowed to take care of yourself, because that's just what people do. And if you want people, especially your children, to learn to be able to take care of themselves so that you don't have to always be taking care of them, or just that that's just the way good personal growth works, then they will be better people. And you would have done your job as a mother and wife and partner and person by making sure that they understand that very, very early on. When you don't take care of yourself, you will find that you will always be living that struggle life, because the two things, in my opinion, are very, very much related. So, um, the second one of the things that I also learned about the soft life is to pay once, cry once. Y'all, I am a bargain junkie. I love bargains, I love deals, I love saving money, and that has gotten me into a lot of trouble, especially living in a country like Germany where you pay for exactly what you get. There are certain places that my husband absolutely does not shop because he knows that the quality of the place is bad. And I think that he's being snooty. And then I end up having to buy twice as much as he does because the things that I get are so cheap that they don't last. And then I end up having to spend more money in the longer run. So now I save my coins, or I just bite the bullet and I get the expensive thing because I know 9 times out of 10, when I get the expensive thing, I will be getting a quality product. And that means that I don't have to worry about what it's going to look like later. That for me is especially important when it comes to clothes, vacations, places I eat, food that I eat. And did I mention clothes? And shoes, because your girl loves her high heels and loves her clothes, but I don't like it when my clothes, especially if it's something that I like or like I wear a lot and then I end up wearing it a couple of times and then it just breaks down, falls apart. I get really angry about stuff like that. So I've learned to just bite the bullet, invest in really quality products, items, and food so that I know that I'm getting the best results out of said thing. And it's a real pick me up. You need that. You need to be able to absolutely be able to spend and treat yourself with quality things because it makes you feel good about who you are, and it says to yourself, you deserve the good things in life. So improving the quality of life also means improving the results at the end of the day, and it means that you are investing a little bit more for a little bit better quality. um that for me means, when it comes to luxury, there's one luxury that I definitely enjoy when I do get the chance to do it, and it is ordering out at a restaurant or, eating at a restaurant instead of having to cook. A nice restaurant, of course, that has like quality food. I'm big on food. Can you tell? So on the days that I can just not have to think about cooking, then I can actually be able to enjoy most of the time, enjoy the meal, when not having to worry about cleaning up or preparing or washing dishes or none of that. I just sit, have my meal, and enjoy my time, enjoy my kids, enjoy whoever I'm with, or just enjoy being alone. Peace is a little bit more nuanced for me because if you have children, relatives, friends, loved ones, like I said, and there's going to be some drama, or you have somebody in your life who consistently brings drama, and you love that person, it might not be as easy as just step one, step two. Like, okay, you annoy me, bye. It might mean that you have to first establish boundaries and figure out a way or a system and way of being with this person that allows you to still be at peace, or just come to terms with the fact that this person is this way and that there is not much you can do about them, but there is a lot you can do about the way you respond to them. And make a decision that your interactions with them would either be limited or in a controlled setting, or in a way that you are able to protect your emotional state and well-being. Those are the most important first steps. Now, if you want us to get into more nuanced conversations about having peace, we can also talk about your job. We can also talk about the place that you live, the people that you spend time with. These are things that are a lot easier for you to be able to get out of, and it may seem like it isn't at the moment, but once you start to allow yourself the ability to think of your life as a better as a, or in a better situation or in a better way, you are now able to at least pay attention to what emotions come up when you think about wanting those things. If it is a sense of emotion of feeling non deserving, or feeling like it's not possible, or if you even start to think about, oh, how am I going to afford it? And then you start to discourage yourself about being able to afford it, then that is already giving you feedback, if you're aware of those emotions and that conversation going on in your head, as to what the work needs to be done, um, in terms of stepping out of those feelings and emotions and ways of thinking, so that you can start to generate more positive emotions and thinking, because those positive emotions and thinking are going to get you closer to ideas and ways of being um, able to produce better results and get the thing that you want. I don't want to say manifesting. I think it's an overdone word, but so this is part one of the soft life. Now, soft life, I think we need to discuss a little bit more in terms of the elements of soft life that we want and the areas in which soft life can take place: relationships, work, and social life. One last thing: the mindless scrolling, or just social media in general, is something that I am always very cognizant of, especially because I have a family now, and everybody has their devices except for my little one. That we are very, 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 and I know I'm a content creator, so I'm guilty of this too. And I have to be very, very stringent with myself because I got to answer people and I have to not answer people. The mindless scrolling and the constant input and stimulation will disrupt your peace. So you have to make sure that you put systems in place, however possible, to make sure that you limit the amount of stimulation that you're getting, because it is a huge gateway for peace disruption. Go take a walk in a nice neighborhood that you like, or go visit a friend, or be in nature, or I think I've talked about this before. But having peace is an essential part of being able to start to step into that soft life. And you can have immense amount of control when you limit the amount of social media scrolling and online arguments, basically, that you get yourself into. If you have social media available to you all the time, then it has to be videos like this that are meant to inspire and give you ways as to how you can uplift yourself. If your social media is an aggravation or an irritation, or getting you riled up into arguments and discussion that are not yielding you good dividend or a better dividend or dividend period, then you need to reevaluate why it is you're following this content, and figure out what it is you need to change about the kind of content that is in your algorithms. Right. I hope to see you guys in the next one. If you have not already gotten the message, please make sure to stay safe and stay free. Oh, you did it. And I actually forgot. Oh my gosh, this video is going to end up being long as hell. Ah, did it. So, I forgot because somebody was asking me if, because my husband came in and he was acting a straight fool. Somebody was asking me about if if white if black women are more softer with white men, more feminine, or more softer, or something along those lines with white men than they are with black men. You know, I thought about this. I really did think about this. Anecdotally speaking, I had a friend who was volunteering in my country. I'm not going to call her name, but she was one of those who acted very, very, like, the way she talked was you would not be able to tell where she was from, who she was, based on her accent. I'm trying to be nice. Y'all know what I mean. An African American young lady who had a very, very specific way of speaking. And I straight up asked her because she was attracted to a young man who was not interested in her, a white man. And this young man was, I think, interested in me. Yeah. Anyway, so I was very embarrassed to hear her response when I asked, what is the attraction? Because that's a question that I always ask my African American or Black African friends, females, when they have this thing. So she said to me, there's something about white men that speaks power. Y'all, I'm trying to be real here, okay? So if y'all ain't sitting down when you listening to this YouTube video or watching this YouTube video, please sit down. Because I honestly felt like she hit me on some level when she said that. Um, and I'm just trying to be honest with you because I was very distraught because I could see myself in her. And I became very cognizant and conscious of the way that I operate with men in general when I heard her say that she associates power with white men and she doesn't feel no kind of way towards black men. And so I was quite embarrassed by that because it felt like she was talking to me. And so I was very aware and cognizant of my relationships with all kinds of men when I interacted with them. And I was relieved based on the feedback that I was getting in my situation that that wasn't my case. But I was made aware that that is a thing. Excuse me. Um, that is a thing. So to my commentators and concerns, that is a thing, but it is not the norm. I have to look for the websites that I was looking at because I did look into it. Um, this is not a thing because what happens when it comes to heterosexual attraction or just attraction in general, there are some levels to this. The first level is specifically towards women. We'll deal with women first. With any woman, we are attracted to our men. Now, whatever is closest, things get complicated when people mix, but whatever is closest to whatever your father was like is what you end up attracting. And interestingly enough, you adopt more of those person's ways of being and attraction towards your father figure, regardless of whether or not he was present in your life or not. So let me just state that. That's psychological research. I won't say fact because psychology is very nuanced in that sense. Um, so most women are attracted to their own men, and the attraction is based on what you look like because it's familiar and your genetic survival. This is something that we don't really talk a lot about in biology, science, and all the lot, but it does exist. That there is a genetic component that speaks to sameness that makes us attracted to each other. That's specifically stronger in women than it is in men. However, when it tilts, it tilts hard. And there are some social experiments and some social theories outside of that. Things like the tall, dark, and handsome Prince on a White Horse. There are a lot of social commentary that tilts towards cultural influence when it comes to people's, I think would call it sexual orientation. And it's very controversial because there are other components that come into it that we are still unresolved, especially with the strong polarization built around sexual orientation in this current climate. But I will say that on the male side, you have the same phenomenon where most men want their own women. And I've said this on my channel, right? Maybe I'll look for the research and then put it in the description box. Most women want their women for the same reason, genetic survival. And men want their women, but if they could have other women, they would. And the reason why most men want their women, but they can also have other women, is because the need for novelty is slightly higher in men. That just simply means that if they could get away with being with other women and not have to worry about the social consequences that we have constructed, then they would take that opportunity to be with other women because their curiosity towards novelty is higher in women. I mean, in men. So, bye. Comment. So, of course, most men will have their women, and if they're allowed to, will explore the possibility of being with other women just because they, yeah, they like to get around. And so, I say that to answer the question like this. There are some people who don't fit in this category. I mean, in this idea of, what we're attracted to and all of those things, because it's very nuanced and we're still trying to figure out why, what, where, and how much influence culture and environment plays an influence in the decisions that we make. For example, I married a white man and he married me, and we have a type, and our type is each other respectively. There are some nuances to that. And what we find is that also beneath that is that usually a person's people don't always act on certain elements of what they're attracted to, and what they're attracted to is not necessarily always reflected in what it is they say they're attracted to. And so people are very dishonest in their ways of being. And a lot of that has to do with repressed sexual ways of being. And a lot of that has to do with, in my opinion, with psychological issues that we have experienced in our environment. And so the answer to that is that that is absolutely a possibility. But what I have seen in the research is that that is kind of not true. However, we don't know enough as to whether or not people are being honest with the data when it comes to this question. And I would say it would make a lot of sense because we usually push certain narratives that are attached to certain um, images and certain personas, personalities, and images that speaks to a look that is good and a look that is bad. And we see that across the board with all kinds of people. I would argue because when I met my husband and he came and he spoke to me, I was like, damn, white boy's hot. And then he spoke and I just sort of like shriveled up like a desert in like a rose in a desert. I was not feeling that accent at all. And I started reflecting back like Dolph Lundgren and Austin Powers, and I know the villain was Dutch, he wasn't German, but tomato tomato, do you know what I mean? Like, you have this ingrained image in your mind of the evil German Nazis. And it's so strong that it don't matter. You might feel one way, but that psychological programming will indoctrinate you and have you switch like nothing. And so this is why the Being Mary Jane episode was such a masterpiece for me to have manifested, because it speaks so much to how cultural image plays a role in what it is we're attracted to and not attracted to. So I think we've stumbled upon a gold mine with this question that one of my subscribers asked, because I can say that that's not true, but if I went solely on what we see in media as opposed to what is supposed to be attracted and attractive, it is nuanced from men to women than it is from women to men, because we grew up on Disney and we grew up on the prince on the white horse, and those messages are very, very, very tricky if you read deeply into them. And it's not completely social and it's not completely biological. It's a mixture of both. But the research shows that we are definitely attracted to our fathers for the most part. But when you take away our fathers, there is only what you see on television. And that would be the reason why such a switch exists. And I would want to encourage us in our self actualization era to pay closer attention to this, because I did it as a social experiment for myself to just actually be straight up across the board more friendly to Black men intentionally. And I've seen some amazing results in my own personal life here in Germany. When I meet a Black man, I'm always like smiling and stuff with him. Not in a like, like just normal, being normal and happy and nice, because I'm more cognizant of that conversation that I had with that young lady that was like some 20 years ago. Okay, so maybe like 16 years ago, but still, it was a long time ago. And even then, I was mortified that that is something that happens with us. So, thank you guys so much for the comment. And I know I went really long with this one. I hope y'all get through this. And I hope to see you in the next one. Of course, please make sure to stay safe and stay free. Nochmal.